Hello fellow gardeners and welcome back to the Humus Heritage. If you're watching this video, you're about to have your entire approach to gardening turned upside down. For years you've been following advice passed down through generations, reading tips in magazines and trusting labels at garden centers. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Much of what you think you know about gardening is actually working against you. Today, we're exposing the myths that are quietly sabotaging your garden's potential. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and prepare to question everything you thought was gospel in the gardening world. The shocking truth about your watering habits. Let's start with watering, because this is where most gardeners unknowingly destroy their plants with kindness. You've probably heard that you should water your garden regularly, maybe even daily during hot weather. But here's what nobody tells you. Frequent shallow watering is one of the most destructive things you can do to your plants. When you water just the top few inches of soil every day, you're training your plant roots to stay near the surface, where they're vulnerable to heat, drought, and physical disturbance. These shallow root systems create weak plants that can't access deeper moisture reserves and topple over in strong winds. The truth is that deep, infrequent watering creates robust root systems that dive deep into the soil, where moisture levels remain more consistent and nutrients are more abundant. When you water, you should be saturating the soil to a depth of at least 6 to 8 inches for most plants. This might mean watering only once or twice a week rather than daily, depending on your climate and soil type. Now let's address the infamous surface check that everyone swears by. You stick your finger in the top inch of soil, find it dry, and immediately reach for the hose. This is exactly the wrong approach. Surface soil dries out quickly due to sun exposure and evaporation, but this tells you nothing about moisture levels where your plant roots are actually living. A more accurate method involves pushing your finger down 3 to 4 inches into the ground. If it feels cool and slightly moist at that depth, your plants are probably fine. There's also the persistent myth that watering in full sun will burn your leaves because water droplets act like tiny magnifying glasses. The real issue with midday watering is efficiency, not leaf scorch. When you water during the hottest part of the day, much of that water evaporates before it can reach plant roots. Morning watering is ideal because it gives foliage time to dry before nightfall, reducing disease risk while still allowing moisture to soak deeply into the soil. Fertilizer follies. Why more isn't always better. If you religiously feed your plants every week because you believe more nutrients equal bigger growth, prepare for a reality check. Over-fertilization is responsible for more plant deaths than many gardeners realize. When you dump excessive nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium into your soil, you're not supercharging your plants. You're overwhelming them. Excess fertilizer salts can literally burn plant roots, causing them to brown, shrivel, and die. The visible symptoms appear as scorched leaf edges, stunted growth, and yellowing foliage. The more is better mentality also ignores the complex nutritional needs of different plant species. That generic all-purpose fertilizer might have completely wrong ratios for what you're growing. Tomatoes need different nutrient balances than roses, which differ from what lawns require. Before you fertilize anything, conduct a soil test through your local extension office. Here's another revelation. Chemical fertilizers provide quick fixes but often create long-term problems. Synthetic fertilizers deliver nutrients rapidly, and you'll see impressive green growth almost immediately. But they do nothing to improve soil structure, don't feed beneficial microorganisms, and can actually degrade soil health over time. Compost and organic amendments work differently. They release nutrients slowly as soil microbes break them down, providing steady nutrition over months. More importantly, they improve soil structure, increase water retention, and build the biological community that healthy plants depend on. Timing is absolutely critical when it comes to pruning, and, cutting at the wrong time can really stress plants, invite disease, eliminate flower buds, or even kill specimens you're actually trying to help. Many flowering shrubs set their buds in late summer or fall for the following spring's display. If you prune these plants in early spring because they look unruly, you're cutting off all those flower buds and, guaranteeing a bloomless season. Spring flowering plants like lilacs, forsythia, and azaleas should be pruned immediately after they finish blooming. Let's talk about tree topping, a practice that still happens despite being universally condemned by arborists. Some homeowners believe that cutting the top off a tree makes it healthier or controls its size. In reality, Topping is one of the most harmful things you can do to a tree. When you remove the entire top portion, you eliminate the tree's ability to produce food through photosynthesis in that area, and you create massive wounds that are perfect entry points for disease. Deadheading is another practice shrouded in misunderstanding. Many gardeners meticulously remove spent flowers believing this directly stimulates more blooms. The reality is more nuanced. The sun's secret: not all rays are equal. Plant tags label things as full sun or part shade, and most gardeners just take these designations as absolute rules. But here's what the industry doesn't really explain. Full sun in Minnesota looks vastly different from full sun in Arizona. Many plants labeled for full sun actually suffer when exposed to intense, unrelenting sunlight in hot climates. That full sun requirement often assumes temperate conditions with moderate temperatures. When you translate that to a scorching climate with temperatures regularly exceeding 95 degrees Fahrenheit, many of those same plants will show stress symptoms. The solution isn't moving these plants into deep shade. Instead, consider providing afternoon shade while allowing morning and late afternoon sun exposure. The flip side is the shade-loving plant myth. When gardeners hear that a plant tolerates shade, they often stick it in the darkest corner of their yard and wonder why it struggles. Most shade-tolerant plants actually need significant amounts of indirect light to thrive. They've evolved to grow under forest canopies where they receive filtered, dappled sunlight throughout the day, not in deep darkness where no direct sun ever reaches. Pest control paranoia beyond the spray bottle. When aphids appear on your roses or caterpillars start munching your cabbage, the instinctive response is often to grab the strongest pesticide you can find. But honestly, this approach creates far more problems than it solves. Broad-spectrum pesticides kill indiscriminately, eliminating beneficial insects along with pests. Those beneficial insects, ladybugs, lacewings, parasitic wasps, ground beetles, are your garden's natural pest control force. When you spray, you wipe out these allies, and your pest problems often rebound worse than before. A healthier approach starts with tolerance and perspective. A few aphids on your plants aren't a crisis, they're a food source for beneficial insects. Before reaching for any control method, assess whether the pest is actually causing significant damage or just cosmetic imperfection. The concept of sacrificial or trap plants takes an even more strategic approach. Certain plants are irresistible to specific pests, and you can use this to your advantage. Planting nasturtiums near your vegetables can draw aphids away from crops you want to harvest. These trap plants essentially take the hit so your main crops don't have to. Creating habitat for natural predators transforms your garden into a self-regulating ecosystem. Beneficial insects need more than just pests to eat. They need nectar, pollen, water, and shelter. Incorporating flowering plants throughout your garden provides food sources for adult beneficial insects. Small dishes of water with pebbles for landing spots give them drinking access. When you build these support systems, you're essentially hiring a pest control crew that works 24 hours a day without chemicals or expense. Your garden revolution starts now. There you have it, friends, the uncomfortable truths that challenge decades of conventional gardening wisdom. Understanding that deep, infrequent watering builds stronger plants, that more fertilizer isn't always beneficial, that pruning timing matters critically, that sun exposure is more nuanced than labels suggest, and that ecosystem-based pest management works better than chemical warfare. These insights will fundamentally change how you approach every aspect of gardening. If this video opened your eyes to how much misinformation exists in the gardening world, imagine what else you might be missing. That's exactly why you need to subscribe to the Humus Heritage right now. We're committed to bringing you evidence-based gardening information that cuts through the myths and gives you practical, actionable knowledge. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you never miss a video, and share this with every gardener you know. Drop a comment below telling us which myth surprised you most. Let's build a community of informed gardeners who question conventional wisdom and grow amazing gardens based on what actually works. Until next time, happy gardening.